Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I am joined by the one, the only. This is his third consecutive show, folks. He's on a bender. Mr. Joey Ricotta, my friend. How are you doing tonight? Before we talk some good Cubs stuff here tonight.
Good, yeah. Good, Rod. How are you?
I'm great, man. So this is Weekend Ron, as I established earlier. We broke out the fancy hat tonight. The W's still here, though. Don't worry, folks. It hasn't gone anywhere. We got the beer mat or the beer bat mug. Try saying that 10 times fast. Out tonight. Shout out to the lovely lady of mine who bought me this.
That's sick.
And dude, we're talking about Jordan Wicks' debut, a Cubs victory, but some things that maybe concern us too. It's going to be a complete show here tonight, folks. And it's a special Saturday show, Joey. We don't normally do these. These are very rare. So, but tonight certainly called for the occasion, given the case of just what transpired in Pittsburgh tonight. Friend of the program, I am Skokes with the Wicks equals dog. And Joey, let's just start right there. Wicks was a dog tonight. And you know what he's got? Shout out to Jake Boosh. Him and I did a Cubs on Tap way back in the offseason. We talked about why we liked Hayden Wesneski and his weird ticks on the mound. Jordan Wicks has ticks. And it's things that I like. He's got the funny, blows his cheeks up when he throws, and then he's coming off, and he's just like, he looks like a bulldog, dude. He looks like a bulldog with glasses. It's awesome. He is the funniest person with all of his antics. But, dude, he's a gamer. I think that's the one thing we saw time and time again from people on social media that have seen a lot of him. You know, the Greg Husses of the world, friends of ours that have seen a lot of him. Scott from Iowa, the Dingers guys. The list goes on and on. Bulls guy Rob, who is our in-house prospect guy.
Juice at South Bend.
Juice, yeah. I got to see a lot of him at South Bend. Dude, he is a gamer, and they've all said the same thing. And we got to see it tonight, Joey. I mean, dude, off the top here, what a debut for Jordan Wicks.
Dude, it's cool that you mentioned Jake too, because he went live for the first few innings on Twitter. So I was in there talking with him, and he was talking about kind of like play-by-play, talking about the game. And yeah, he got smacked in the mouth early, right? Try to get that fastball, sneak it in there to Cabrian Hayes. Cabrian Hayes sent it packing, he sent it out of the park. And then after that, what does he do? I mean, he gets guys on the bases, and the mound visit from Tommy Hotovy, and Jordan Wicks shoved from there. Shoved. Everybody, shove.
Don't get us copyright infringement, Joey.
Absolutely. Well, I changed the word, so I don't know. Does that count?
Maybe it does. Continue.
God, man, it was so awesome to see that change up in a big league game, just wiping hitters out. I want to bring up some numbers too.
Ooh, we love hashtag Joey numbers.
I want to bring up these numbers because I was looking at it, the first few innings, and I'm like, he's getting a ton of whiffs, right? So the usage breakdown for what he was throwing: 34% changeup, which was his most used pitch, 24% four-seam fastball, 18% sinker, 14% cutter, 9% curve, 3% slider. So he didn't throw that many breaking balls. But called strike plus whiff rate. I've mentioned this before. We've talked about it. He had a 36% called strike plus whiff rate overall tonight. To add context to that, the pitcher with the highest CSW percent with a minimum of 50 innings pitched, Felix Bautista at 35%. Out of starting pitchers with a minimum of 50 innings pitched, Spencer Strider has the highest, 34.4%. It's one game, but a 36% CSW overall, that is fucking insane, Ron. That's an outing right there. That is an absolute outing In your debut, you just went out and did that in your debut after getting smacked in the mouth on your very first batter that you faced, second pitch of the game. I absolutely love it. I wanted to start here. You asked me for the show because, yeah, you start high and you end. You still end high too, but dude, Wicks was awesome, man. Former Rockford Rivets legend too, by the way. Just to toss that out there.
I love that. Of course, you will drop the little bit of Rockford knowledge in there for us. Joey, just what a start. And I'll tell you what, we got to just talk through the nature of how the start went because, like you said, it started bumpy. Welcome to the big leagues. Brian Hayes takes you deep, gets things going. Then he allows another sharp hit up the middle to Reynolds. Then it's a walk to McCutcheon. And Tommy Hotovy, with the Midas touch of pitchers, comes out and says, Jordan, trust your stuff, bud. Your changeup's your best pitch. Good. Use that to dictate your at-bats. He says, just go out there and throw your best shit. And we'll see in a minute. And you can see Hammer Candelario. One thing I'm going to note, keep an eye on. If the more Wicks starts we see, if it's a lot of Candelario at third because Wicks creates a lot of contact to that third base side, that'll be something to keep an eye on because it was Candelario that came in on the mound visit, Amaya and Hotovy. Just those guys joining Wicks on the mound. They said, we got you, kid. Let's do this thing. And he goes, okay. And you could tell him he was like, yep. Yeah, I'm good. I'm dialed in. Here we go. And then he went off. Strikes out 3 to get out of the inning. No further damage, just the 1 run. He doesn't allow anything else the rest of the game.
Yeah.
2 hits and a walk. That was all in the first inning. 9 punch outs and 5 innings of work. It just took 80 pitches to get through. They're just trying not to push him over the limit right now because he exits the game with an 8-1 lead at the time. Obviously, it didn't end that way. We won't get to that much later. But, dude, you nailed it. And Jeremiah had a comment about it here. If you get a Pitchers Nation post on your debut, you're doing something right. Pitching Ninja, same thing. That changeup was nasty. Scott's calling him Professor 2.0. Joey, I would almost make the argument that changeup might be just as deadly, if not a little more deadly than Kyle Hendricks' changeup. Like this is, if anything, it's closer to the peak Kyle Hendricks changeup, right? Like Kyle's changeup isn't as good as it was in 16, 17, 18. But man, dude, Jordan Wicks, if he uses that changeup to set up the rest of the at-bat, because the fastball plays different at 92, 93. Mm-hmm. All of his breaking stuff. I kind of like that cutter that he throws. There's something there that, like, especially on righties, that thing cuts in so sharp and it just makes him look really stupid. Like, that is a pitch to me that can become probably his third best offering. And he can work with just effectively 3 varieties of a just traditional fastball, right? Your original, your good old 4-seamer, little change, little cut, and that cuts. Dude, he looked so good. I'll tell you what, Joey. I was getting ready for the weekend, and I was anticipating it being a Sunday start for Mr. Wicks. I'm like, okay,
I think we all were, right? Yeah,
that'll be sweet. We'll have the Sunday Fun Day show. Maybe we can get a little bigger of a crew on the show. Then they're like, no, he's going Saturday, and I'm like, I mean, I was going to multitask by playing some Madden too. I dialed in for this start. I did not move from in front of my television. I was sitting there like a little kid watching Saturday morning cartoons, watching Jordan Wicks just dice the Pirates for 5 innings. It's stuff like this that starts to give me a little bit of faith too, Joey. And for those that are wondering, it's Saturday night. Just like it's a Sunday Fun Day, we're having a Saturday Fun Day. So this might be a little bit of a longer show. So buckle up, get a cold beverage, join us, hang out with us here for a little bit. But Joey, he was so good. It was so nice to be dialed in and see now that this team is finally starting to develop starting pitching, right? Like homegrown talent. This guy got drafted by the Cubs. He's not an acquisition via trade like some of the latest guys have been. It's been just Justin Steele standing on that pedestal right now for a while. Jordan Wicks is kind of the first taste now that we're getting of this next wave of pitchers that the Cubs have really devoted themselves in drafting over the last 3 drafts. And Jordan Wicks is the first one of those last 3 drafts to come up and make an impact. They hang on for the win, but he set the tempo early, dude. And especially as a lefty, there's something. I hope Wicks gets to stay up for this chase because I
Oh
want to
man,
look back on this storyline in 2 years and just be like, man, remember when it was Steele and Wicks kind of coming up as these dual lefties in the rotation? I would never be mad if these are the next two guys for the next 4 or 5 year run before the natural evolution of the roster continues. But it all started tonight, dude. This was a fun Saturday night game to tune in for. And, as noted up here a little bit earlier from Dave Snyder, only sports podcast covering the Wicks game. Hey, we're excited. And I think that's
we're
what it
having
is.
fun, and it's
We are
Saturday.
having fun, and it's Saturday, and we got to see a hell of a Cubs baseball game with Jordan Wicks at the center of it, Joey.
I mean, we had so much fun watching this game. I know you mentioned the cartoons like at Saturday morning. That really is, who needs Madden? You wanted to play Madden. Who needs Madden when you have Jordan Wicks throwing it like it's a video game? I mean, honestly,
I do have a second consecutive Super Bowl to win, mind you. So,
that can wait. That can wait. You're not doing anything after this, are you? You going to sleep?
I'm going to bed, dog.
Come on. What do you mean?
I've been working all day. Hey, big shout out over at OnTapSportsNet.com. We had a lot of good stuff. You wrote something today. We were busy today. It was a working day, my friend.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'm gonna go sit and relax, and I'm gonna rewatch the highlights of this start while I lay in bed and slowly drift off into dreamland and picture myself at hopefully Wicks's first home start, maybe at Wrigley, in the not so distant future. It would be nice to be in attendance. I'm gonna try my damnedest if I don't already currently have tickets. So because it's hyped.
It's a hype time, man. It's a hype time. Like, I don't want to get over our skis here about one start, but he did something that what was the stat? Only 4 pitchers have done since 1901, throwing 9+ strikeouts in their debut for Cubs pitchers. That is, Mark Pryor's in that, Thomas Diamond's in that, and then there was
Thomas Diamond. That's such a name drop, dude. I love it.
There was somebody else in that. I don't know who the hell the other pitcher even is out of the other name that was thrown out there. But like, dude, he did something that's, I mean, we kind of got excited, right? When Caleb Killian, we got his call up, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's the first wave of these prospects. And, all this anticipation. But this really was a homegrown guy that was brought up and delivered in his first. Like, Killian came from another organization,
right?
Wicks was a draft pick. Mm-hmm. Same with Hayden Wisniewski. He came from another organization originally. So, like, the feeling is just different when he just comes directly from your organization as a draft pick. And I can sit here and say this guy had a 0.45 ERA in Rockford in 2020 for 4 outings. Like, being able to say that, Ron, that's freaking cool to me. Like it just feels that much better. But it's a fun night. It's a fun night. It should be a fun night, even though, like, yes, we're gonna get to all the stuff that wasn't as fun and kind of like holding onto your chair there and trying not to fall out. But it's Saturday. We're cracking them. You got your hat on. You got the patch that you barely could squeeze into the hat. You got the shades on. I got my hat backwards, leaning back in my chair, trying not to fall out of it. Yinglings all around. He looked good, man. This kid looked good, though. I didn't know, like, progressively as he went up through the minor leagues, like, looking at stuff in Iowa, not to say that it wasn't good. He was still turning his, but the strikeout stuff kind of each level that he was progressing was kind of going down. So that had me worried as far as, like, what the strikeout stuff would look like at the big league level. And you talked about it being the changeup. It is more dangerous at the big league level from him because he is throwing 91 to 95, right? He has that 2-seamer and the cutter and all these different pitches that he's throwing, 6 different pitches. I mean, that is a repertoire where you saw it on kind of one of those. The hitters just freeze up on the sinker or on the 4-seamer because they're expecting that slider, and he's throwing it with a little bit more heat for the fastball. Not super overpowering, but it looks very overpowering because that changeup just drops off the table. So, like, he could be a big strikeout guy. We'll see. Definitely more of a strikeout guy than a Hendricks. So I would say, if he locks in as far as control goes, which looked really good tonight, the sky is kind of the limit there, right? Like, we've seen Hendricks kind of be able to just get that soft contact. And I'm not trying to compare the two at all, but since we've been talking about it, the sky really is the limit for this kid. And I would say, the other night I kind of projected him maybe wrongly. Like I was saying it with Nick, I was saying, I kind of see settling in more as like a 3 or 4 in your rotation, probably, which isn't bad. I didn't mean it in a bad way by any means. But if he's going to go out there and throw 9 strikeouts in his debut, I think I was selling him just a little bit short. So, yeah, Ron, I don't know. What did you think, though? I mean, we've been talking about it quite a while, but what did you think
Juice
overall?
has some input here in the comment section for us. He says half the bullpen is useless, but Wicks is the truth. Adds on to that. The slider is the newer pitch that he developed. It's going to get better, but man, the changeup is elite, and that changeup was elite, and it was exciting to watch said changeup because Joey, like you said, he has quite the repertoire. Like I don't think people realize how many pitches that he's learning, and I feel like he hasn't entirely scratched the surface with all of them either.
Yeah, right.
Wicks is a guy that should continue to get better. Again, I'm now starting to wonder, well, how long do we see him? Do they just say like, hey, we think he's ready, we're going to give him the chance to be a part of this team and help contribute to the playoff run? Or are they going to say, well, we're going to give you a few, and maybe if we get healthy or, something else happens, we can send you down. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, man. He's been good. But Joey,
I hope they let him ride, dude. Just quickly to your thought there, or question there. Like, I hope they let him ride as long as possible. And you do have to watch his pitch count. Like, I know they did that tonight, 80 pitches. I don't think in my head, I didn't see him reaching that 80 pitch count tonight. I thought that was a little bit high, but it was because he was pitching so well. Like, somewhere between 70 and 85. I don't think you're going to see many more pitches than that in outings for Jordan Wicks because of the inning. Like, he hasn't pitched that many innings and pitches in his career yet. So, but I mean, dude, who else do they have? Like,
right.
Who's taking that spot from him?
I agree. And I think it's right. It is the 89 is the career high in terms of his minor league pitches. He has not thrown a ton of pitches yet. I think they're still working on that. I think eventually he'll develop into a guy that can throw 100 to 105 and
Sure,
not, struggle. But I think they do want to work his pitch count, especially early. But Joey, kind of a natural progression here. Kind of like Juice said, it feels like half this bullpen can't be trusted right now. And that isn't good. And it's not like we need them to come in high leverage situations. This team was leading 8-1 tonight. Jordan Wicks did everything he needed to do, and your offense came through and provided early. And then the bullpen managed to make things interesting because Hayden Wesneski gives up 5 earned in 1 2/3 innings, and Leiter has to bail him out. Leiter has to go an inning and a third tonight. And then Palencia can't even get through the freaking inning with a 4-run lead because he walks 2 in his 2/3 of an inning of work there in the ninth. Alzolay has to come in for what should not have been needed tonight to get 1 out and get out of this thing. And Alzolay gets a 21st save, so it looks good on his numbers, but come on, man. Juice has said it. I know you've said it. I feel like we've all said it really here one time or another. It comes on tap in the last week or 10 days. This bullpen, just these back end guys need to give rest to these high leverage arms because you're going to need them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the Brewers, who have now won 7 straight games after beating the Padres today and already taking that series 2 out of 3. It's frustrating right now to watch the bliss that was Jordan Wicks' start, and you thought he was just going to cruise, and you and I were going to sit back here, Joey, and laugh the whole show just about how good Jordan Wicks was, and that'd be the only thing we talk about. But no, now we have to address the fact that they had to dive in and shit got wild. Juices, some of the names out in that pen make you wonder why they are here and if there's someone in the system who can meet the moment. Agree completely. Scott says ride or die with Wicks until Stroman comes back. I don't know when we'll see Stroman. So I feel like you said, Joey, it has to be. But it's so worrisome that Wicks's debut from the season outlook standpoint now gets a little tainted, dare I say, has a little bit of a blemish because of this bullpen not being able to be trusted outside of your 4 or 5 high leverage arms, and you lose one of them in Fulmer to the IL now.
Right. That's the most concerning part to me is the Fulmer situation now. Like, not only did you not allow for rest today with a guy like Alzolay, which is the most important one, in my opinion, and granted, silver lining, he only threw 3 pitches tonight. Like, it was 3 pitches. Let's get the fuck out of there. Alzolay wasn't playing around. But you still made him go through the whole bullpen warm-up to get into the game. So it's not like he just threw 3 pitches. He had to warm up. He had to get ready to go in a game that you were leading 8-1. So Mark Leiter Jr. hadn't pitched since Monday. So I think maybe that's why he was a little rough when he came into the game, because sitting for that amount of time, the rest is great. Don't get me wrong, but he still sat for, 5+ days, 6 days. So that's a long time for relievers when they're go and pitching all the time. So
yeah, I
don't know. I mean, I think they wanted to get the more rest out of these guys. Obviously, we need it. But Hayden Wesneski, man, no excuse. You come into the game, I know you're young, but there's no excuse why you're not throwing strikes and you're falling behind guys in an 8-1 game. Like, just throw the ball over the plate. You can literally throw the ball down the middle every single time and see what happens. Like, are they going to hit a home run every single time? They're probably going to pop up. Throw strikes. Like, what are you doing? And then, he was getting hit a little bit too after falling behind guys, but it's nerve-wracking. It's frustrating. There was a weird play down the line with Seiya that they ended up not being a ground rule double and the run scoring. I don't know what was happening on that play. Couldn't begin to tell you. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Mark Leiter Jr. pitching in this game when he probably didn't need to. I was thinking in my head, like, Wesneski's going to pitch like 2 to 3 innings, probably maybe even more, maybe just finish the game out. Palencia, I thought Palencia has been pretty good lately, so that was kind of frustrating to see him. He struggles with walks, though. Like, he's still too young. He's too young.
That's Palencia's biggest issue, I think, is the walks. He's got the stuff. I mean, he throws 100. I mean, he's got the raw, just, again, stuff. But like you said, he's struggling with command right now, which it almost feels a little bit like Javier Assad from a season ago. Granted, Assad found magical ways to work around those walks, but was walking a lot of dudes. It's normal for a young pitcher, but it's just disheartening when you have to go to high leverage arms in games where it should be, as Juice always says, right? That low stress, just chill and enjoy the ball game.
Yeah, I thought we were getting that.
Yeah. Instead, you think they have to make it interesting. They just have to, Joey. They got to make us get up for something on a Saturday night. We can't just have a chill Saturday night where we get to breathe. But, Joey, I want to talk a little bit about the offense. But before we get to that, I want to circle us just a hair off subject for a hot second. So tonight, as you mentioned, Wicks was great. And you said it yourself on Twitter that he needs to say thank you to the Candyman for some really good plays at third base tonight. That's why I said that's something to keep an eye on if that's going to really matter down the stretch here.
Candy's been great at defense, hasn't he? Like,
he has. He's looked great at both positions, first and third. I think he's been fantastic. But Joey, I must know, how does one compare in terms of the level of, wow, this is a great gift to give somebody of appreciation? How do you go from a steak to a chocolate bar? So for those that don't understand, hold on. For those that don't understand, Joey tweeted tonight or posted tonight. Sorry, I'm an old man. I got to get out of the habit of calling things old things, just like the Sears Tower, and you get it, and the John Hancock Building. Wicks might not have that MLB money yet, but someone needs to buy the Candyman a steak or his favorite chocolate bar for his third base defense to help his pitcher tonight. Don't get me wrong, Joey. I love a good chocolate bar, but how in the hell does a good piece of meat and a chocolate bar compare on the same level of a gift?
Okay. All right. So I'll explain myself, which you threw me off completely. I wasn't expecting you to bring this up. But, all right. Hear me out. One, they're both treats. Like, let's be honest. A nice, juicy steak, good steak is extremely a treat, right?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic right now, Joey. I'm not
All
gonna
right.
lie to you.
It sounds fantastic to me too. I haven't had dinner yet. On the other side, and it's almost 10:30 at night. On the other side, the other side, all right, a chocolate bar was because the candy man, right? So I was just incorporating the candy somehow.
Oh,
So I
so
threw in the
you're
chocolate there, but it is a treat. They're both treats. So would I prefer a steak or a candy bar? I would take the steak all day long and twice right this second. It's not even Sunday yet, but twice right.
oh.
But I do love a good candy bar too.
And
No
juice.
dirt with 6 cups. How did
This
you
is
know I had
when
a cup of coffee? How does he know
this
this?
is this is
That's
when you know the Cubs on Tap crew is together
NBA.
way too much and crack them. And you know that we all know because Juice said had 6 cups of coffee, though no dinner, but 6 cups. Yeah, Joey was already talking about having coffee today. And yeah, as Juice says, what happens is in this kid's brain.
I have no idea.
It's Joey, this is the excitement of being on a show with you. It's the most analytical, numbers-driven shows that we have, but it's also the most off the wall, just ridiculous shows. It's a beautiful, eloquent balance that I don't think you get anywhere else in sports media. So
Well, Weekend
part of
Ron
the fun.
combined with yeah, what was it? What did you call it? Is it fur? Did you say fur? Fucked up Ron?
No.
He's got weird brain, Juice says. Yes, I do. Very weird brain.
He's got weird brain.
I don't know. Steak
Jeremiah
chocolate sauce
is
sounds
asking
good,
about would you eat
uh,
steak with chocolate sauce, Joey?
I don't think I would. I don't want to ruin my steak. I actually, all right, so people love A1, right? If the steak's good enough, I don't even need A1. Like, I think that'll ruin it.
You shouldn't need A1, Joey.
Well, that's what I'm
Unless
saying.
somebody makes you a Salisbury steak because they overcooked your steak so badly, you shouldn't need A1 steak sauce.
But then you got some people like my girlfriend who can drink A1 by itself because she loves A1 so much.
Don't get me wrong. I think A1 is a tasty sauce. I don't need it with a good piece of steak though.
Right.
You can get crazy and like put it on like some country nachos or some shit. I don't know. But do literally anything other than use it on actual steak. Again, use it on meatloaf. I like A1 on meatloaf. Have you ever done that? It's
I
delicious.
haven't tried that, but I think that sounds pretty damn good to me because meatloaf's a little more on the plainer side. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little dry. It's a little on the plain side. Scott says the only thing you don't get with Joey on a podcast is correctly pronounced words. Oh, you think he's bad? You should see Tony Marchese on Four Feathers podcast. Ask him to say Andreas Athanasiou and his brain will malfunction. It's the best thing ever. Scott with the hot take of the night right now, Joey. Ice cream candy bar over some steaks.
Absolutely not. That is a hot take.
As Juice says here, this might be the new tag team Weekend Ron and a Cup of Joe.
I like it. I like it
as well. I'm a big fan. Joey, let's talk about, I'm sure we're going to, some of our final thoughts are going to incorporate some Jordan Wicks thoughts again. But I do want to give the offense its flowers tonight, Joey, because not only did they take care of business early, right? Absolutely just load up in the fifth inning with 5 runs. You get some early run support for Wicks, especially after giving up the 1-0 lead. Things were looking good, up 8-1. Then this Pirates team storms back. Then they go into the 9th. And I'll tell you what, we've seen it quite a few times with this Cubs team this year, almost all the time. When this team needs to dig deep and make something happen, they find a way to make shit happen. Like they truly don't give up. This team does not quit. They end up grinding out another 2 runs in the 9th. They give the Cubs the cushion. They shouldn't have needed to use fucking Alzolay, as we already mentioned. But they get the W, and the Cubs are able to have a chance at the series tomorrow and take 3 out of 4 against these Pirates. Darren says I got a Hank Williams Jr. look going on tonight.
Yeah, I can see it.
I dig it. I'm a fan of it. But Joey, I mean, how impressive has his offense been? And I want to know, because you and I were talking during the actual game. We were texting back and forth. Seiya Suzuki is coming into a little bit of his own. I think we're seeing more of what we were hoping to see from Seiya this year. We're getting a little more power, not astronomically more power, but a little more power. but he's just hitting everything. Him combined with Bellinger being incredible, just this whole lineup up and down contributing in different ways tonight, Joey. And they came through again in the clutch when they absolutely needed it in the ninth. They get two big runs, and it's a little bit of a more stress free win than it could have been had they only had the two and then two men on with the game winning run at the plate instead of it to be only one run game. So having Saya back is huge, man. And just again, this offense coming through in the clutch has been spectacular, Joey. But I mean, add to my thoughts, my friend.
I'll take the doubles all day long. Like, yeah, we want more slug out of Say, and it's not quite the slugging isn't quite there what we wanted from him. But dude, if he wants to keep hitting them in the gap, he wants to keep hitting it down the left field line, especially in clutch situations. And yeah, we were talking about it. This is absolutely huge because they need that next player to kind of pick it up here, especially when guys inevitably go through their slumps, which tonight was nice to see that every single player on the Cubs in the Cubs lineup got on base tonight. Every single starter got on base. So you love to see that. But the clutch hits is something that this team has struggled with at times this year, especially early in the year, first half of the year, struggling with the clutch hits. So getting the clutch hits now from what seems like an extended period of time, it's great to see. And Saya and Ian Happ, I mean, Happ just kills the Pirates, but I think Happ is kind of, it's always, I just hope he can kind of continue this, but Saya, man, both of those two guys, I think Happ and Saya are super important to this team's real success this season because we do expect Bellinger to continue. We expect Dansby to be good. Nico, who good for him, he got an off day today. The Candy Man with how well he's done all season and just what he's turned into. But those guys are like the linchpins in your lineup is really how far this team can go offensively. Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki. I truly believe that, and I think that's your best lineup when Seiya's in there, which has proven to be the case now after he got a little bit of a rest time. He was kind of platooning a little bit just playing against lefties. But, yeah, this is good Seiya, and good Seiya is good for the Cubs. So I am totally on board with this, and it hypes me up, man. It really hypes me up because it's not like you're not expecting it. It's that you were expecting it and then you kind of lost faith in it over time, right? I think we all kind of started to lose a little bit of faith, whether we said it outright or not, whether we were like giving up on him. I don't think any of us were really giving up on him. But you just kind of started to lose a little bit of faith as time went on. Now he's reeling us back in, Seiya's joking around in the dugout. I fucking love it.
You nailed it on the head, Joey, because I said this right around the trade deadline. I said they can go out and get, Jeimer Candelario, and they can go out and do what they did. But if you're not getting enough from Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki, this team will not be able to make the playoffs. They need to be impact hitters, especially if you are going to hit Ian Happ in the 3-hole and not give him a chance to move down the lineup for a little bit like they did with Seiya Suzuki. Because yes, Happ has actually been okay. Like I should say more than okay. He's been good. He's got a 770 OPS.
Yeah, he gets more shit than he really deserves. It's go ahead, Rob.
Well, it's because he's got the 241 average, right? When he does hit, it's usually slug, which is what he didn't do a ton of last year. We're like,
he gets on base a ton, really.
He does get on base a ton. So he's been good. I would love to see just a little bit of a shakeup against literally any other team than the Reds and the Pirates. Those are always the get right games for Ian Happ because he just owns both of those teams. And they really need us to keep going. And like we said with Seiya, him and Happ are top paid guys now on this team. They got to play like they're top paid guys. And Booze with another thought here too. Jake says, really, Seiya felt like an afterthought. I didn't give up on him, but rather there were enough other offensive pieces to cheer on. Seiya coming in is just icing on the cake. Completely agree. We've seen it from Cody Bellinger. I think Dansby Swanson has those stretches where he can carry a team for a few nights when they absolutely need it. Jeimer Candelario has been an absolutely beautiful surprise. Booge's favorite Mike Talkman has been great. Still a 757 OPS player, albeit he is, cooled off a little bit at times. But they're still getting it done. Morel's been fun. Amaya's fun. Madrigal is hitting over 280 right now. And you know what's crazy about tonight? Nico Horner wasn't in the lineup, and they were still able to win. But I think you saw. I think that Reynolds hit in the first gets stolen by Nico. If it's not Madrigal at second base,
Yeah,
it's a
maybe.
little bit of a hot take. But it just shows this team is deep.
Probably.
They can win on nights when guys need rest, especially in this stretch, because Nico has played more games than anybody. But this best 9 lineup, when it's Nico, Hap, potentially Talkman, depending on the day, Morel, the list goes on, Belly, they can really get shit done when guys like Hap and Saya are hitting. Joey, just some quick numbers, really quick for those that maybe didn't get to catch the game or aren't actively looking at a box score. 2 hits for Bellinger and Suzuki. Hap had himself a night. That's where we were going with that. 1 hit, 3 ribbies, though. 2 runs scored for Ian. He had a walk as well in this one. Seiya Suzuki, we mentioned with the 2 hits. He had 3 ribbies. Belly had 2. Swanson drove in a run on 1 hit and a pair of walks. You mentioned everybody got on base. Amaya, only player hitless, but he walked. And this one scored a run as well. We mentioned the Madrigal hit. Candyman with an RBI in this one as well. Morel, 2 Ks tonight, but got a base hit. So hopefully he's starting to slowly break out of a slump. Joey, any other thoughts on this game? There's so many things that need to happen. Obviously, the Wicks part of it was fantastic. Just how are you feeling after tonight's game to kind of help us round out this one and start to look ahead here?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little uneasy with the bullpen. We've talked about it, but
Yes.
a little uneasy with the bullpen. And Michael Fulmer being down is what really makes me uneasy. And imagine saying that in freaking May. We sent him to the moon. We sent him to the sun in May, and he came back with a tan and some huge balls. And he has absolutely pitched his ass off. But I don't know. I mean, Merriweather, Fulmer when healthy, Alzolay, Leiter Jr. most of the time. You feel good about that 4, but now with Fulmer down, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to step up in that bullpen? Somebody has to. And I feel like there maybe should have been one more addition at the deadline, and that really should have been the bullpen. And we talked about a lefty quite extensively. We talked about a lefty, bringing in a lefty. That would have been perfect tonight if you really didn't want Mark Leiter Jr. to have to come into the game, which I know he hadn't pitched since Monday, so it's not like he couldn't have used the work either.
Mm-hmm.
But you're telling me a lefty wasn't good tonight? So I don't know. Anybody, really, honestly. You need somebody to step up in that bullpen. And maybe to Juice's point earlier in the comment, maybe earlier in the show, maybe it is somebody from Iowa who's going to get the call here and step up. I don't know. I hope it's kind of some development too with maybe Keegan figuring it out, getting back to his normal self.
Sure.
That's kind of really what I'm hoping for, because as we've talked about it numerous times, and even dating way back to the preseason show where we really were expecting a lot out of Keegan Thompson, and I don't want to put a ton of pressure on him. I don't think that's fair to put all that pressure on him, as he has to be the guy, and no one else matters, because that's not true either. But I'm really hoping he can kind of turn into that bulldog Keegan, where people were calling for him as a potential closer before Alzolay came in and ran away with the job. So
yeah,
you need more out of that spot, and not to turn this into a downer, because they keep squeezing games out, and you're up 2-1 in this series. You take care of business tomorrow, hopefully, and you go and those games against Milwaukee are going to be so huge starting on Monday that it's you got to go in with a little momentum, right?
Yeah, and so with that in mind, Joey, I want to pick your brain on that quickly here a little bit for sake of the old content. Who amongst those guys that are in Iowa right now do you think is going to come up and make an impact? And these are just
Ooh,
some names that, looking at the roster, I think out loud and say, yeah, this guy I think has a chance to maybe come up and make something of it. Boxberger is on rehab assignment. Perhaps we see him soon. Would be nice if he could return to a full healthy version of himself and actually contribute more than he did before the injury. Bailey Horn, do we get to see the lefty come up and get a shot, especially with Anthony Kay and his recent lack of success at the big league level? Shane Green has been really good. He's been starting games, albeit, but can he come in and give you some length out of the pen at times? Luke Little, a very much a fan favorite, is at AAA. Brendan Little as well.
nasty.
Both guys have opportunities, I think, there. And the Cubs just recently added Edwin Usita. He is technically on their development list, but he is at AAA Iowa. So perhaps there is something that could be made with him there. Are any of those names, Joey, guys that you think can really come up, or do you think it's going to be a lot of these guys having to just kind of figure it out and really turn shit around in order to, keep this Cubs team on a winning path the rest of the year?
That's so tough to say because I think with Wicks' addition today, now they're at 38 on the 40 man.
Sounds about right.
Is that right? Because they were at 37. I think Edwin Usita was off the 40 man, just taken off. I want to say.
Yeah, he was.
He was taken off.
Yes.
So at 37, and then from Wicks went 38. They got a couple spots. Are we going to give them the promotion now to the big leagues? But not that any of that matters. You asked me a question of who I thought could make an impact or whatever. The Littles could be great options, obviously, from the stuff standpoint and pedigree, like what we think they could be. We're talking about Bailey Horn for quite a while, though. A while back. And I still think that Bailey Horn really could be a dude there. I don't know how he's been doing with the walks, so I wish I knew a little bit more right at this moment of how he's been avoiding walks, because I think that was one of his issues there. Who else, though? I think most of it's going to be the guys that are there, though. I know you want to give a chance. You have to give a chance to somebody else from the minors. But again, these guys are so young that it's hard to just expect them to come in and take care of business. I think Boxberger probably makes the most sense of somebody that's on rehab that could come back and legitimately make noise in the bullpen, because he's pitched much better for his career than he did to start the year with the Cubs. So start his career with the Cubs, really. So I think Boxberger actually is the one that I would just kind of make note of and hopefully he figures out his rehabs.
I agree, but I think, like you kind of noted too, Joey, at the end of the day, I would like to see Horn. I think it's worth it, especially from the lefty perspective. Push comes to shove, if it really gets to that point and they can't make it work with the 40 man, then I think Boxberger is that guy, but I'm really excited to see what they get out of Keegan Thompson. I think that's the big one here, because for season and a month and a half, Keegan was that dude, and then that Houston game happened and he was just not right. Something fell apart in that game, and he's been working back from it ever since. Hopefully he's back to standard, because if Keegan Thompson can come in and give you some valuable innings, that will be crucial. Joey, truly to wrap this thing up and look ahead to Sunday's game, any final thoughts on Jordan Wicks? A little Jordan Wicks appreciation here. What is your one takeaway here from the Jordan Wicks start?
Rockford Ribbons legend. No. Yes, that's part of it, but he also shoved. That's the other part of it. That's it. Hopefully he keeps it going. I think he's going to get a real long look at this rotation if he keeps this up.
That's what I'm hoping for. I hope he does get a long look at the rotation the rest of the season. That was a fun debut, and I hope it only continues to ascend from here. Joey, let's take a quick look ahead now to Sunday. The Cubs are in action early. It's a 12:35 Central Daylight Time start For those in the Chicagoland area, for our friends like Juice over in the Eastern Time Zone, this is a 1:35 game. As the Cubs trot out Javier Assad, he was supposed to originally start tonight's game, but with Wicks coming up, he gets an extra day of rest. Assad 2-2 on the season so far with a 3.13 ERA, and they will go up against the lefty Bailey Falter. Falter 1-7 on the year with a 4.53 ERA.
That's
In
a
this
good pick,
Cubs,
though. Check out this comment real fast. I like that. Not to cut you off.
what do we
Sorry.
got here? This one here.
Smiley.
Oh, yeah. Smiley in the bullpen could be a help. Completely agree. Hopefully that ends up being the case. Joey with Falter versus Assad on the bump tomorrow. Jan Gomes has 2 home runs against this guy. He's 2 for 2 in his career with 2 homers. Some of these Cubs have success having seen him. Very few guys on this Pirates staff have seen Assad, but those that have seen him have a little bit of success against him. What do the Cubs need to do tomorrow, Joey, to get a series win over the Buccos?
I think they need Javier Assad to go 6+ innings. 6 innings, hopefully, of 2-run baseball or less. I mean, 3, I guess you could say, but with the way the bullpen is right now, that's scary. Hopefully, Merriweather will be available, though, and Alzolay after just 3 pitches tonight. So, I don't know, man. I think you got to put up 4 runs again. 5 runs at least. Like, that's the thing tonight. It should not have been, I know we already talked about this, but 10 runs in a game. This shouldn't have been a set. So me sitting here projecting or thinking 4 runs, 5 runs is enough, we don't know how many runs is enough at this point. So Assad needs to go 6 or 7 innings tomorrow to really.
He's coming back, folks. Hang in there. Joey's coming back. Maybe Joey's not coming back. I don't know, folks. But we'll continue on. I agree with what Joey said. You don't know what it's going to come down to. They might have to just get in there and do it. It will be hopefully one of those games that they're able to take advantage of. I like this comment here from Darren. Score 10 or better. Why not? Just keep the offense going again. Agreed, though. I think you need a good start out of Javier Assad that will ultimately get the Cubs where they need to be. 6 innings from Assad should get the job done. And the relief pitching, hopefully, then maybe we see Keegan Thompson tomorrow. I think that would be a lot of fun to see on Sunday. But overall, from the today on Saturday, Jordan Wicks, as you can see in my little name tag there, inject into my veins. What a start and debut for him. And hopefully the Cubs can win the series tomorrow. Before we sign off, folks, first off, thanks for joining us on Saturday here on the YouTube. If you weren't able to get into the conversation, perhaps you were watching us over on X, be sure to subscribe to the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube channel. Hit the little dinger button, hit like, and you'll always know when we go live here at On Tap Sportsnet for all of our great shows, including Cubs on Tap. Also reminding you, Cubs on Tap 1 and 2, official Cubs podcasts of the On Tap Sports Network. Check out our friends over at the Dingers Podcast at Dinger Cubs on social media. Follow us at Cubbies on Tap on social media. I am at Loose on Tap, at Joey Knows Nothing. Join me tonight at Juice on Tap, at Bulls Guy Rob, at Nick_Tap, at Teddy Freddy 270. You guys know the drill. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. Bears finished the preseason today. The Bears on Tap guys will be back early this week with an episode leading up to following, the 53-man roster decision, and then eventually leading up to the Packers game on September 10th. Bulls and Blackhawks right around the corner as well. So be sure to tune in to all of those shows. And as always, Cubs fans, you've got friends that like the White Sox. We've got friends that like the White Sox. Send your friends to our friends over at Sox and Tap. They do a great job covering it. Also, got my homage shirt on tonight. Big shout out to the homage guys. Be sure to be on the lookout for an official announcement coming very soon from the On Tap Sports Network. OnTapSportsNet.com, at OnTapSportsNet on social media, the On Tap Sports Network. Go and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on this Saturday. Jordan Wicks makes his MLB debut and throws a beauty of a gen. 5 innings, 9 Ks, just the 1 run on 2 hits and a walk tonight. Cubs come away with a little bit of a concerning W there, but 10-6 is your final as the Cubs take the 2-1 lead in the series. I'm Ron Luce from my co-host Joey, who unfortunately believes his computer got attacked by aliens. We appreciate you guys for joining us here on Saturday night for the Jordan Wicks debut. Cubs win 10-6. back in action tomorrow. And it will be the Sunday recap, as always, from Cubs on Tap, on tapsportsnet.com. We'll see you in a little bit. FTC, FTB, and let's go Cubbies.